My name is Tyler Jordan, and I play in a band called Good Looks. Um, I am the singer and the songwriter for that project, and uh, yeah, we've been a band for about 5 years. We did change names at some point, but yeah, we're just we put out a record in April called Bummer Year, and then this year has been kind of just trying to support that record and doing a couple of tours this fall and yeah, playing at ACL. Excited about that.
So, let me go ahead and just ask that. What was it like to, to be asked to play ACL? Like, what's that whole experience like for you?
Um, well, it was really exciting. Um, we started working with a new booking company, um, Crossover, uh, and within the first week of like working with them, they went out and booked ACL, which was really exciting. So we're like, oh, that's awesome,
Wow.
and and yeah, it was really it's been really cool. I think I said this maybe in another interview somewhere, but it's really strange. Um, I think being a musician is hard to demonstrate like tangible success because like a lot of folks, just random everyday people like ask like, oh, so you're in a band, do you make a living from it? And I'm like, well, no, not fully. Then they ask like, where do you play? And you mention some spots, and they're like, oh, I never heard of it. And but ACL feels like this like real tangible thing you can kind of show people and be like, hey, we're a real band.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool experience, and just nice to have this thing that like your uncle can understand is cool.
I mean, I
But
think you guys are pretty successful only because I've seen, in completely unrelated, publications and like places that I wouldn't expect to see, you pop up. I've been like,
mhm,
oh my God, I know that guy. So, I measure that as successful, if
for
my
sure.
opinion counts for anything.
We've had a lot of attention this year, which has been really cool and very different from what we've experienced previously. So
Yeah.
that's been awesome.
Awesome. So what I know, so you said the Good Looks changed their name a while ago, but I know you've been in a lot of other projects. What
That's
else have
right.
you done around here?
Well, I moved here in 2006, so I've been here a long time now. And when I first moved here, probably the first like 4 or 5 years, I just played solo shows under Tyler Jordan, and I also did a bunch of busking. Like when I first moved to town, I think the first year I lived here, I made all my money for street performing on Sixth Street,
Wow.
and and then I was in like this Americana band with multiple songwriters for a while, maybe like 4 or 5 years. That was called the Gents, and um, then I started this project called Tyler Jordan in the Negative Space after that, and that kind of came from I'm friends with Adrienne and Buck from Big Thief, and like I met them out at the Kerrville Folk Fest, and um, asked them if they'd help me make a record. And so in 2015, I made this record with them, producing it and playing on it, and kind of put together a band to help promote that record, which is how Tyler Jordan and the Negative Space kind of started. And then um, that had some different musicians over the years and different lineups, but I kind of measure the start of this particular band as where when Jake joined the band, because that's kind of what really makes our sound, and it's like a combination of my songwriting and his guitar playing. And so we've been playing together for about 5 years, and we started shopping the record. We made this record in 2018,
Oh wow,
the one
really?
we, yeah, Yeah, the one we put out this year, we recorded in August of 2018, and then kind of like finished it up over the course of a year. Started shopping it around in 2019, and found a home for it on Keeled Scales, which is our label.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just as soon as we were like ramping up to put it out, the pandemic happened, and so um, we didn't we didn't want to put out a record we couldn't tour behind, and the label didn't want to put out the record until we could tour. And I think it would have been different if we were a band that had a following or just more of a history, but seeing as it was our first like release, more or less, because we changed our name to Good Looks during the pandemic, and sort of because I just didn't feel we didn't feel like Tyler Jordan and the Negative Space really represented the project anymore,
Right.
and it was more of a band and less of a solo thing. Um, so so yeah, it we sat on it and then put it out after we could start touring again.
Cool. Where did you come up with the name Good Looks? Where'd that fall from?
It took like a whole year of like workshopping names. And our label guy Tony, at some point, he was like, "You just can't text me any more names. Like you have to pick something. I don't care."
Just put
Because
some words in order. I don't care.
it was like probably hundreds of names that I like went through and was like thinking about. But Good Looks comes from a couple of things. One, the last band name was like sort of inherently kind of negative because it had the word negative in it. And
Mhm.
so I liked the idea of changing that and having you know the word good is in the name, and so it just kind of inherently is positive. And I liked that a lot about it. I thought it was crazy that it's this common phrase, but there really aren't that many. I found like a couple other bands on Spotify that had the name, but they had like one follower and didn't seem very active, or and so I was like, I'll try using this. And then the last thing is I'm a big basketball fan, and so like one thing that gets said a lot in basketball is like, that person got a good look at the basket. And so
Mhm.
I there's like kind of multiple reasons I came to it, but that was sort of where it came from.
Love it. So yeah, you mentioned Jake earlier, and I did just want to ask. He was in a pretty serious accident earlier this year. Um,
That's right.
what was the what was the response from the Austin community like for him? I mean, it seemed like, I mean, there
Um,
were people like that I know, separately from you also that were, posting about it and coming out about it. So it seemed like it was, a really big deal. So what was that like, on the receiving end?
yeah, I mean it was huge. And yeah, if you don't know for anybody else who might be listening, our guitar we put a record out. I think it was April 8th, and we had its album release, and that night after the album release, our guitar player Jake got hit by a car, um, walking back to his car, and like had a skull fracture and brain contusion, and broke his tailbone. And yeah, it was a pretty serious accident, really scary. We didn't exactly know. The first couple of weeks were really terrifying because brain injuries are weird, and he wasn't himself whatsoever, and he was sleeping like 23 hours a day, and just like not really aware of what was going on. So it was just hard to tell kind of where he would end up. And so we, yeah, I put together like a GoFundMe, and the community like response was just insane. Jake knows a lot of people. Jake is very extroverted and just has a ton of friends. Like so many people, when I tell them, they don't know me, I don't go out as much, and I kind of keep to myself. I'm more introverted, and that's sort of why Jake and I work well together, or one of the reasons. um, but I tell people that I'm friends with him, and they're like, "Oh, I know Jake. I'm really good friends with him," and I've like never met them before, and like because that's just how he is. Like you could talk to him for like 20-30 minutes, and he's just like super honest and open and kind, and like his whole personality is on display, and people just fall in love with Jake. And so when this horrible thing happened, people really kind of rallied around him, And I will say that it also happened at the same exact time as like a national like PR campaign was going on. So in all of these articles and different things, it mentioned the accident and posted the GoFundMe and all of that stuff. So that was also really helpful in sort of raising awareness and getting support for him in that time.
Right.
But
And like you said
but
earlier.
totally,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, just totally overwhelming amount of support. Like really, I mean the Austin music scene was just really showed up. There were like a couple of um, you know benefit shows, and just I was really I don't know, just like baffled almost by like how much the reaction was.
Yeah. So like you had mentioned earlier, people ask you like, do you make a living as a musician? And you're
Hmm.
like, no. Just imagine that compounded with, American medical bills. Like it's just
That's right.
it's
Yeah,
baffling, I think is a great word to describe
sure.
that. So, yeah, I was really heartened by, all of the support I saw from the Austin community for him and for you guys. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
that everyone came out for that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Um, so moving on to a completely different topic. Um, who and what are some of your biggest inspirations? That can be, musically, that can be fashion wise, that can be, I don't know, like you watch a movie and you're like, I have to, talk about this. Like in general, just who are, or what are some of your biggest inspirations?
Um, well, yeah, I mean,
Is that too broad of a question?
that's it is a broad question, but I'm just thinking about kind of like what led me to like where I am now. And I don't know, I think it just started probably from like watching Almost Famous like 20 times when I was a kid, uh and seeing like there's like a moment in in my past that it stands out really clearly, which is I saw Spoon play on um, Austin City Limits, the television show, in 2003 when I was 16, and just that like was totally world changing. That they became one of my favorite bands, and it sort of like changed my future in the way that I was like, well, if I want to play music, if these guys can play music in Austin, that's where I need to go. And so that's what I did. And so that was, I mean, they were so hugely influential. Um, and then more recently, I just love a lot of different types of rock and roll where there are um, great lyrics, and that tends to be the space that we want to occupy. So, you know, I love Patti Smith and Richard Hell and Minutemen and Parquet Courts and Big Thief and just all of these bands that are rock and roll bands with great lyrics. That's a huge inspiration. The Replacements, um, huge influence for me personally. And yeah, I don't know. I knew from a really early age, like 16, that I wanted this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I think that's really lucky. I know a lot of people, it takes a while to figure out what the thing is that they want to pursue. And um, so I feel in that way, I've always been like kind of on this path and working towards it. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. I wish that I had known that about Spoon because I actually interviewed Britt on Sunday,
oh, wow,
and I could have dropped that in there.
man. Yeah. He reached out over social media, which was cool. It was like really surreal, honestly. I said he posted something or maybe he like followed the band or something on Instagram, and I said, "Oh, hey, it's nice. It's cool that you follow the band or whatever." And just he was like, "Yeah, I've had your song Almost Automatic like stuck in my head for the last week," and that was that was totally um, just wild. So
That's so cool.
yeah,
He's really
and it
nice
was
too.
fun.
So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, What's funny is Jake and I used to work for this moving company. Well, actually, I still work for this moving company, but I do the office work, and Jake and I moved him like like 2 or 3 years ago, probably,
Like when
Um,
you came back to Austin?
yeah, like well, he had like some sort of apartment he was staying in, and then he moved. He bought a house from the people in the Octopus Project, the couple in the Octopus Project, and so we like moved him from an apartment into a house, which was so bizarre. And I just like he was super nice, but like I couldn't bring myself to be like, yeah, I love your band. I just didn't acknowledge it.
Right.
There's just no way to sort of bridge that subject or whatever.
That's
But
hilarious. That's so funny.
yeah,
I
so
don't know
that
what I
was
would do because I like it was really hard for me to like not fangirl like talking to him and um I did get him to sign my OC soundtrack though because I was like this is the first time I ever heard you guys like
oh
this
wow. I didn't realize they were on that.
yeah, they were on
That's
the
cool.
yeah, like The Way We Get By was on there and that was like the first time I ever
Ah, yeah.
but anyway, it's not about me. Yeah, I don't know that I would have been able to reel it in, so good job.
Yeah, that was the record that yeah they were like supporting when they did that ACL taping. So that
Yeah,
was like one of the first songs that really stuck out. And I remember they were on Letterman like the next day playing that same song, and I was like, man, that's crazy. It's so good.
that's wild.
Yeah,
Um, so, you talked about you like a lot of rock music with good lyrics, and that's what you want to be. What about music that you don't personally create? What do you like to listen to? So, like, completely, I don't know, not opposite
sure,
of what you make, but, just not in the same wheelhouse.
sure. Well, I know Jake and I both listen to a lot of country music. That's definitely a big influence. Obviously Willie Nelson is just the king of in my opinion of like country songwriting because he's one of my favorites because he's so a lot of it's very literal, a lot of it is like just very open and honest in a way that some country music kind of isn't. um and so I really love that sort of writing. um I listen to a lot of stuff. I listen to, I mean, Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite rappers. Uh, I, I think Good Kid, Mad City is probably in my like top 5 records of all time. And but I have a pretty broad range of stuff that I listen to. Obviously, I listen to a lot of songwriters too. So like I love Dylan and Towns and Elvis Costello and Randy Newman and just like all kind of the songwriter canon, a lot of 70s stuff. But then I also, I like proto punk and I like, New York, first wave, like New York punk and even into like 80s, like hardcore stuff. And I don't know, I just have a pretty broad range of stuff that I listen to.
I feel like that's pretty common with everybody that I've asked is, I I guess musicians, draw inspiration from kind of every kind of genre. So like they're exposing themselves to, everything even if it's not what they like to make. So I
Yeah,
think that
I
goes right along with everyone else.
sure. I'm obviously I'm a music fan first, and so I think about this question a lot, and I like ask it to folks sometimes, but I always ask if you could only listen to music or you could only play music, one or the other, which one would you do? And for me, it would always be listen, because I can't imagine a life without that, but I could see myself doing something else. Um, and I don't know. It's just I love music, and I also think that like I always give the advice out that if you want to write better music, the best thing that you can do is listen to as many different types as possible, because you can only write through the lens of like kind of what you've heard, and there's a lot of like talented musicians out there that I feel like that would be what I would tell them to do. Just listen to more music.
I love it. Um, so you're on tour right now, right? Or you're just finishing up a tour?
We're kind of in between. So we were gone basically the entire month of September, and we did the East Coast up to New York and played a festival in Raleigh, North Carolina called Hopscotch. That was really cool. And then kind of toured our way back home through the Midwest and back down. And yeah, so that now we're in the middle of this like 2 weeks off, and then we play ACL, and then we go back out for another month, Mostly West Coast, but we're doing a few more. We're supporting Craig Finn on 3 shows in the Midwest. He's the guy from The Hold Steady, and just really love his new record. So that's like super cool to get to open for him. Definitely like a songwriting hero. And yeah, then on the West Coast, we're opening up for this guy Arlo McKinley, who is a kind of like Americana guy, the same label as Tyler Childers, I think, and um, just that kind of realm. And so that's really exciting too. But yeah, we're gonna be gone for another month. I guess a week from now, starting.
All right. So what is your favorite place that you've played? Not
Mm,
necessarily on this tour,
that
but you know.
yeah, that's hard. It's hard. That's a hard question. I like a lot of the. I really do like the Midwest a lot. Those towns are super cool. A lot of like blue collar vibes, not very pretentious. A lot of kind people. We'll have played Chicago 4 times this year, or 3 times, and then we went through another time, but didn't play. So it's been really cool getting to hang out in Chicago. Like Milwaukee a whole lot. Um, we played in Davenport, Iowa, which was just a really cool city. I don't know. I kind of um, I like those spots a lot. And obviously going to New York is really exciting and fun, and getting a chance to play there and hang out is really nice too.
Right. So bringing it back home, do you have a favorite venue in Austin?
That's yeah. I mean, Hotel Vegas was kind of home base for us for years and years, and I've just seen a lot of really great shows there over the years. And I like smaller venues. Yeah, so I really like Hotel Vegas. I really like Long Play Lounge East. Uh, used to be Stay Gold. I like that space a lot. I don't know, just kind of maybe like the ABGB is pretty cool too. Um, just a lot of like smaller rock and roll clubs. I don't know.
All
It's
right.
hard to pick one. Also, the ballroom is pretty cool. That space is really nice on the inside with like the disco ball. It's like kind of the perfect size room. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are great answers. Um, so I guess, I mean, the way I have the question worded is, can I have a little preview of your ACL set? But that's also kind of stupid. So, what are you planning for ACL? Like, how are you gonna, really, I don't know, like blow people away?
Um, I, I don't know that we have like a very we don't have like a big plan. I think we're just gonna do what we normally do, which it I think we play for 45 minutes, so it's probably like 9 songs, and I would imagine we'll play 5 off of the current record and maybe like 4 um, new ones. But I haven't totally written out the set for it just yet either, so
Okay.
I'm not sure. But I do think that we're um, a pretty engaging live band. So I'm looking forward. I'm definitely looking forward to playing ACL.
Awesome.
It'll be a very odd, weird experience, but we're so ready.
Are you gonna take advantage of the artist wristband and just go watch everybody?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be hanging out there like all weekend, and trying to bother other musicians that are playing. I'll just be hanging out in the catering tent trying to strike up conversations.
I mean,
uh,
that's the way to do it.
yeah, free food and famous people. That's my shit. So.
um, so what's next? I mean, you said that you've got like four maybe new songs that you might play at ACL. You
Mhm.
got I guess this next tour that you're about to embark on. What's kind of after that?
Yeah, so we're also in the middle of recording a record. We went in and did like a week in July. I mean, I actually just did 3 more days of recording this last week, and then we go in and finish up the record uh, in late November, early December. And so yeah, we're recording. We've got 16 new songs, and we'll probably put out a record of like 9 or maybe 10 or 11, somewhere in that range.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's going to happen towards summer 2023. Um, so yeah, we're just kind of plotting out what our year is going to look like. So I think we'll definitely be in town for South by. I think we'll be touring by February, and we're just kind of looking at what that's going to look like, trying to play as many festivals as possible this spring, into the summer. So we're definitely setting ourselves up to be super busy, for for um, for 2023. I'd imagine we're probably going to be touring 6 to 8 months of that year. So
Wow.
it's really exciting. We've worked a long time to get here, so we're just trying to seize the moment while it's here.
Yeah. Is that the new record's gonna be on Killed Skulls?
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. And
Mhm.
then yeah, you kind of led me into my last question, which is another really stupid question, but how are you gonna have time to play kickball if you're too busy?
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about that. I was like, I really miss playing kickball.
Me too.
I we had like a weekly kickball game on Sundays. I will say I didn't always enjoy organizing it. So I I play this old man basketball game at the YMCA three days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so that's kind of scratching the competitive itch for me these days. Um, it's like it's 6 to 8 a.m. Like it's a nuts kind of game.
Oh my
But
gosh.
so, but I would, if I'm ever if I'm in town for an extended period of time and the right time of year, I would love to get that weekly kickball game going again sometime.
Yes, I think about it all the time. And I do you
Yeah.
remember the one day where like for some reason every single person playing, like we all got leg cramps and like nobody could even run around? Like
No.
I don't know what happened that day. It was
uh,
very
no,
bizarre.
I don't remember that.
It was
I
I don't there was like something going on. I don't it was like some Twilight Zone stuff. I don't know, but um yeah, like every time I drive by the park, I'm like, "Oh, kickball."
yeah,
Um
yeah. I have that same feeling. That yeah, I do remember getting hurt playing kickball once. Like probably the first time I ever like threw my back out really hard was playing kickball. I think wearing some jorts that were just maybe like a little too tight and running like full speed, and something just went wrong, and that took me out for like a month.
oh my God.
But, and then that kid Robbie got his leg broken. I don't know if you were there for that.
No, I don't remember
So-
that.
somebody like slid super hard into third base and just like ran right into his leg, and it was pretty brutal.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm
Yeah,
glad I
it
wasn't
was
there for
wild.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't obvious. It was like the smaller bone, so it wasn't like anything really gruesome, but it's definitely like he was hobbling, and he couldn't figure out exactly what was wrong. So yeah, there were some pretty serious injuries. I knocked over a kid one time. Were you there for that?
I think I was. Yeah.
That was like that's one of my darkest moments. Like there was like a kid that was, his name was Charles. I still remember him. He was like hanging out from the uh he had like a family reunion that was happening in the park, and so he just like
Yeah.
wandered over and was like playing with us, and he was standing like directly in the base path on the base, and I did not slow down. He was probably about 9. I just barreled over that kid, and because I'm too competitive, and it it's like it's a dark memory.
Sorry, kid.
Oh no, man.
Wow. Well, that's all I had. It was nice talking
Yeah,
to you.
it was
And
nice talking to you too.